We own a tiny coffee shop in a small town of 600 people, and we want to see if it can become a nationally recognized brand. Do we know how to do that? Absolutely not. Welcome to episode 1 of our new series, Building Nomad. That's so good. Okay, first we're going to start out with what we're drinking. What's your drink of choice today?
Classic Americano.
Boring. Sorry, that was rude. I'm drinking an iced caramel vanilla latte with salted maple cold foam and caramel drizzle on top. It's kind of like a rendition of our golden hour latte, but I do caramel vanilla instead of caramel and white chocolate. That's my favorite drink and my mother-in-law's favorite drink. And now my father-in-law's favorite drink. And your grandma's favorite drink.
True, picking people off.
I'm officially an influencer.
So if this is your first time here, hi, we're Silas and Sophie. Now before we tell you where we plan on taking Nomad, let's tell you where we've been.
So in 2023, we got our tax returns back. And instead of blowing our money on something stupid like we do every year, we decided to start a business. And so we decided we were going to start a coffee roasting business. So we checked Facebook Marketplace because we had not a lot of money. And we found one down in Arkansas. We had never been to Arkansas before, so we decided to make a family trip out of it. So this was May of 2023. Yeah. We went down to Arkansas. We picked up this coffee roaster. We explored the Ozark Mountains down there. And then we brought it back and we set it up in our garage. So that was basically the beginning of Nomad. It started in our garage and we pretty much swore up and down we were never going to open a coffee shop. Remember that?
Yeah. Then in 2024, our lives changed pretty drastically. We sold everything we owned and moved into our whole family into an RV. There were a lot of reasons behind us wanting to downsize, but a lot of it was just freeing up finances, freeing up our time, because doing that allowed me to also go part-time at my job. So once we finally moved, we then didn't have the garage that we were roasting in. So it was time to find a commercial space. So we were looking all around and we found one in Coffeen. It's an old abandoned laundromat that used to be a few other things. We got possession of it and it was in some pretty rough shape. It had a drop ceiling, had concrete floors that had chipped paint, and I'm sure we'll post some photos of the before. But
so when we were roasting out of our garage, we had a cottage food license with the health department, but while that did allow us to sell our coffee, it was pretty restricted in who we could sell to and the quantities we could sell to and where we could sell to. And so moving into a commercial space really opened up a lot of doors for us. Now we could sell across state lines and we could sell wholesale and we could, I can't really remember,
we
but
couldn't sell. We say wholesale, retail.
Oh, we couldn't sell retail. Yeah, we couldn't sell to like a reseller. So we couldn't sell to like a grocery store that would resell our coffee. So it kind of opened this new world of opportunity for our business. So we got into this space and we started fixing it up. Not a ton. We didn't do a lot, but we did remove the moldy wall and replace a wall. We took out the drop ceiling just to expose like the rafters in here. But it was still pretty rough. Well, it wasn't rough while we were roasting, but it was just kind of bare bones.
Yeah. We just stripped it down.
Just so that we could roast, package, and ship out of here. What is that?
Baby slower.
We have a baby. So in 2025, we decided about halfway through the year that we were going to open a coffee shop. But at the time, I was halfway through my pregnancy. And so we kind of felt like we were on this timeline. So we went to the bank to get a business loan to start the build out for our coffee shop in this old laundromat where pretty much every single inch of this place needed touched to some degree from the ceiling to the floors. So we had our work cut out for us. So October 1st, I remember we secured our loan. The money dropped into our account and we hit the ground running. We had the ceiling painted by your cousin. We redid all the floors and we painted all the walls. Not in that order. But that kind of gave us a fresh slate to build out the coffee shop. So you and your dad kind of teamed together for the rest of the entire build, actually. Your dad did a lot of it, but you and your dad built the coffee bar, which kind of brought our vision to life. That was really cool to see come to life. I had sketched out these mountains on OSB board and showed you this design, and I was like, do you think you can do this? Not knowing if you actually could, but you really pulled it off and it looked great. So we stained and painted that, did the wood countertops. We pretty much Facebook Marketplaced all of the equipment that we needed. We needed a 3-basin sink, commercial refrigerator, mini refrigerator, espresso machine, ice machine. We actually bought the ice machine new. So we were balling on a budget. So that was like an insane time of our lives because you were still working part-time job and we were trying to build out this coffee shop. So you would like get off work and then we'd come up here and we would work every single day until like midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah.
with our 3 kids in tow at like 7 months pregnant. That was like such an exhausting time. That feels like an entire lifetime of its own. And I remember when we were in the build process just thinking, like, we're never going to get to the coffee part. I just remember, like, I can't wait to get to the coffee part because it was so much, like, electrical and plumbing and construction. And I felt like it took an eternity to get to the coffee part. It didn't, but building a coffee shop is, like, 1% coffee, 99% everything else. But we decided we were going to open a coffee shop in, like, August. And we had the doors open in December. That's a pretty quick turnaround. But like I said, I was pregnant. So we were trying to get it open before the baby was born because in my mind, if we waited till after the baby was born, we never would have opened. The night before we were ready to open our coffee shop. So we'd passed all of our inspections, our state plumbing inspection, our health department inspection. I don't know what, we were like going to Walmart for like milk at like 10 p.m. That seems like a really essential thing that we should have had before them, but we didn't. So it was like 10 p.m. We're going to Walmart to get some milk, and we realized we had no cash for our cash drawer. I guess we just assumed no one would be paying with cash.
I don't know what we assumed.
We had no cash, no change, and we were set to open at 9 a.m. the next day. So we went to Walmart, we went to Casey's, went to Dollar, like anywhere that was open, we went to multiple gas stations to see if they could like break some change for us. No one would. So you just decided you were going to go to the bank right before we opened the next day, which was so stressful. I was so scared that you weren't going to get back in time and it was just going to be me there. We came back here, unloaded all the milk, got things ready. I feel like we crashed into bed at like 1 a.m. that night. And I just remember like laying there and I think I said to you, like, what if no one comes? And it's one of those things like you either laugh or you cry. So we laughed. I might have cried, actually, because I tend to cry if I'm up past 10 p.m. But it's, like, really scary to put so much work and time and effort into something and take a risk and just not know, does anyone care? Yeah. Like, did anyone see my Facebook post? So we got here the next morning, and you ran to the bank, and everything was fine.
8:30.
We had a ribbon cutting ceremony, and probably 30 minutes before we even opened, cars started pulling in.
Yeah.
And by the time we actually started taking, like, our first customer, I think we already had a line wrapped around the door. So that day was, like, that was insane. That day is, like,
wild.
forever ingrained into my memory, and I'll never forget, like, how many people showed up and supported us and encouraged us.
It was baptism by fire, because you've had baristaing experience. I've had no baristaing or cafe experience except for the taste testing things that we've done here. But it was never like, I'm going to spend 10 minutes just ripping shots and trying to build drinks and do all that while customers are hanging out at the bar trying to talk to you. And then there's someone else trying to just look at what you're doing. And you're like, they're watching me and watching how slow I'm going. It was crazy.
You learned quick. I had a friend come just to support us that day, and he was standing in line. Shout out to Jacob Bradshaw. He was standing in line and he saw how busy we were and he was like, do you guys need help? And we were like, no, it's fine. You know, like just enjoy your day. It was like a Saturday. He was with his son. And like a couple times he said like, are you sure I could jump back there? Because he used to have barista experience. So we're like, okay, come on. And he jumped right in and he literally served right alongside you until the moment that we closed. It was awesome. He was such a trooper. Like he just jumped right in and like knew what he was doing. We like hardly had to train him. So that was so cool. That was a cool experience. So thank you to Jacob Bradshaw for hopping in that day. I think my parents went and got us whipped cream and then Trevor and Julie went and got us milk. Like we ran out of everything. And so we're really thankful if you're watching this and you showed up on our opening day. You're a trooper for waiting in line. You're a trooper for believing in us when we really weren't sure what we were doing yet. And we're really thankful for all the support we've gotten so far. But that kind of brings us up to speed to where we're at now.
So we're 8 months into this, and now the looming thought is, what could this become?
We've had this scripture on our minds recently about like planning for our futures. What's that scripture that I'm thinking of?
It says, a man plans his way, but the Lord orders his steps.
So that's kind of our thoughts with what we're doing right now is that we're trying to make these plans and maybe dream a little bit bigger. But everything that we're doing, we're kind of like holding with an open hand to the Lord. So he can smash our dreams if he wants to, or he can keep propelling us forward. But essentially, we are just going to keep walking through doors that he opens. And then if he closes them, we'll pivot and we'll go through the next door. And then if he closes that one, we'll pivot and go through the next door. And if they're wide open, we'll just keep running through them.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make plans and allow the Lord to direct our steps. So our intention with this new series, Building Nomad, is to just kind of bring you along on the journey as we try to build this business from essentially nothing. So we're in the process of rebranding right now, coming out with new merch, putting in a drive-through, creating systems so that the shop doesn't depend on us so much, and then maybe even seeing what a second Nomad location could look like in the future. We're excited that you're here. We're thankful that you're following along, and we're excited for what's to come. Any other thoughts?
You also get the story of us raising 4 kids along with it. So that's going to come with a bunch of chaos.
Guys. So if you've ever wondered what the behind the scenes looks like when it comes to building a business from the ground up, from absolutely nothing to trying to turn it into something, also with our 4 little children in tow while we homeschool, stick around for the journey. This should be fun. We're going to try to document it to the best of our ability so you guys can kind of get a sneak peek at what's going on behind the scenes. So we have no idea how this story is going to end, but this is how it's beginning. So welcome to our new series, Building Nomad.